Hello, friends. You're now listening to the lifestyle, leisure, and sports show you never knew was two of those things.
I think we can all acknowledge that if this fails, you two will be fired and I will remain. So, no pressure.
Bo Bishop, a regional media icon, winner of Emmys, purveyor of the good life.
Sir, you don't know that for a fact.
I just said it on the radio.
Also, two guys this company named Employee of the Month.
What are you talking about?
Paul Hogan is Hulk Hogan's brother. Look it up.
Because it's Hulk Hogan. That's his real name.
One guy is from Australia. The other one is from Tampa.
You mean he's from Hollywood, brother?
Not brothers. Chops.
Yes, they are.
This is Bishop and Friends.
Bishop and Friends on a Thursday. Hope everybody had a good first Friday. And hey, then just one more day and you're on to your normal Friday. That's Bo's whole philosophy. But he's been on Friday since Tuesday this week. He'll be back come next Thursday. But for now, Chops and Reeser are still here with you. But we are also joined today by DeVier Posey. DeVier, football season, I think, since the last time we did a show together.
It's been a very long time.
We're already kind of back to football season.
Yeah, Chops, I'm sitting here. I was looking at you. I was like, man, when's the last time? I think it was like my first year. This might have been a year.
Yeah.
This might have been a year. Yeah.
So it's nice to have you back in the seat. And we've got, like I said, we've come back around to football season. So we got plenty of football stuff today. We'll talk to Paul Finebaum at 9:48. So a special time for Paul this week because some of his ESPN stuff. Miami is our 20 most interesting programs today. So we'll be going all over the Hurricanes and what Mario Cristobal is building down there. But we will start where we started yesterday as well, at Big Ten Media Days. Since you're here, I guess I'll ask you first. Did you ever go? Were you ever in the group? No?
No. Well, the Big Ten started like my sophomore year, like Big Ten Media.
Oh, it wasn't this big and everything until, okay.
Well, the Big Ten Network started my sophomore year. I think Carissa Thompson was still working for the Big Ten. She kind of got her start there, and it just has grown. And what I'm saying is obviously the Big Ten has been around, Chops, but the network in the media has grown so much.
Yes, and I think, you could probably see that just from, Ohio State has always had probably tied for one of the largest beats. But if you look at the scrums around players probably from your playing days to what they look like now, a lot more people out there. And that's just Ohio State covering it. And then from there on out and the Big Ten Media Days, we were talking to Jake Trotter yesterday, and he was like, but it's in Lucas Oil. So even with all the teams and all the media, but it's split over 3 days, so it's only 6 teams per day. He's like, it feels a little cavernous in Lucas Oil for them to all be out there. And Tony Petitti just comes out onto the stage, and there's the rows of chairs, but then it's just a giant stadium that just sits empty, which would be kind of weird.
Open it up to fans.
Right, yeah. Just start selling tickets. Why not? But the media day stood out to me yesterday, and we're going to get into some other coaches and what they had to say. But I was interested to hear from some guys that we've never really heard from, either new to the Big Ten or new to head coaching or new to head coaching at this school. And one of those guys was Deshaun Foster. And unfortunately, somebody dropped the ball with him and didn't quite have him prepared for his opening statement when he came out there. So he took over in a short window here because he took over at UCLA because Ohio State hired Chip Kelly. That was kind of already outside of the normal hiring time. So they went with a guy who, a former star for them, was already on staff. Let's keep some continuity, bring in the football guy. And I think the football guy-ness might be what led to this. But either way, it's a little painful. It's almost a minute long, but here was Deshaun Foster's opening statement, if you can call it that, at the Big Ten Media Days yesterday in Indianapolis.
I'm happy to be here. Glad to be a part of this great conference. Finally putting two great emblems together, UCLA and the Big Ten. We're a school that's won, 123 championships, so this fits us being right in this conference. Football-wise, we're just excited. I'm sure you guys don't know too much about UCLA, but our football program, but we're in LA.
This is where it gets awkward.
It's us and USC. I'm just basically excited, really. That's it. Any questions?
They just wanted to get to the questions. Now, I think overall, it's painful to watch, and you feel bad for him, and it's an embarrassing moment. But I think I'm going to give Coach Foster some grace on this because, like I said, he has not been a head coach before. He didn't even know he was going to be head coach until
he's been
February.
a head coach for he's had some months. He's like, this is not yesterday.
My point is, I think somebody at UCLA should have an SID or another coach that I don't know who's all on staff there, but maybe somebody else has head coaching experience. Just talk to him like, hey, do you know what the opening statement, like what most people go for? Like, what is it going to be? Are you preparing something?
I say, do you have any opening statements you can pull up so we can just see the difference? I just want to see how bad it is. I want to hear Ryan Day's opening statement.
Ryan Day's opening statement was like 9 minutes long.
It was strong.
Well, because a lot of the coaches, I think, also go for a little bit longer opening statement so they don't have to answer as many questions. They get to control the narrative and everything. But somebody didn't go over this with Deshaun Foster. And the worst part is, like, when I first heard it, and he does that part where he says, a lot of you might not know things about UCLA football. We're in LA. I was like, great. Break the tension, a little joke. Like, everybody knows UCLA.
But he was serious.
But he was serious. And then he, like, loses his track of thought, and he slowly goes, and he eventually just goes, I'll just take the questions. Yes. But I was like, other than actual football X's and O's, wouldn't UCLA football be something that, like, would be one of the most known things from Deshaun Foster? Just, like, talk about what you know then at that point.
I guess when you think about it, and you're at Big Ten Media Day, you're going into training camp, so obviously, like, every training camp has a theme. Like, we're going to ride for each other, or,
Urban used to put up the big banners with the slogan on it.
Yeah, like everything. And then you kind of start with that. Then you touch on offense. Then you touch on defense, then you touch on the schedule, and then you say and that takes about 3 to 7 minutes. Yes. Like, I could see, like, he just didn't say anything about anybody.
It feels like, to me, he was like, well, I go up and talk in front of the team, and we do that all the time, and I handle those speeches really well, and I like to do them off the cuff, and maybe that's what he does, and he likes that. But I don't know if it was not looking at players, but looking at the media. I don't know if it was being at the dais and being in front of a microphone, but it's just one of those things that, like, he's going to take some flack for it. But I also, if he's a good coach, he's a good coach, and I don't really care about his opening statement overall. But next year, hopefully somebody can prepare him for that. But I do stand corrected that we do a segment called The Real Truth on Tuesdays, and a few weeks ago, it was when the SEC media days were going on. I said something about, like, the Big Ten has the most boring collection of coaches at their media days. Is that the real truth? And we were all like, yeah, kind of. There's usually better headlines out of all of them. But Deshaun Foster at UCLA gave us something for that. Are we going to get something this memorable or interesting today? It's the third and final day of Big Ten Media Days out in Indianapolis. Oregon, Minnesota, Maryland, Washington, Indiana, and Michigan. I think I'll be interested to hear what Sharon Moore has to say. We're always circling Michigan here in Columbus. But also, I think Dan Lanning is going to be a huge star today. Those ones in the middle.
You don't want to hear Matt Rule?
Well, Matt Rule was yesterday.
Okay.
So we don't have Matt Rule. Indiana is Signetti, who's a new coach. So I guess to hear from him for the first time. What's his name from Arizona? Is at Washington? Jed Fish. So that one, because Washington's such a question mark.
It is.
But PJ Fleck and Mike Loxley, I don't. I know those guys.
You're going to hear some good quotes from PJ.
He's always interesting.
He's interesting, man. But I like PJ Fleck. He was at Ohio State around the time when I was getting recruited.
Okay.
And then he left and went to Tampa. And so when I was coming out of the draft, we had a long conversation. He was wide receiver coach for Tampa. Man, he's really a good guy. Like, and he just has this, like, personality about him. Like, you're like, man, I think this guy means well.
People do seem to buy into the whole row the boat thing. It's just, it does sometimes seem comical, I think, from the outside, but where he has been, they have bought into it. It just remains to be seen if it's, like, fully working now at Minnesota, because it was good for a while, and now it's like, okay, can they get back on that track? But those are the coaches that are going today, and I think Dan Lanning is the one that I'm going to be like, okay, I want to check that out the most outside of Sharon Moore. there.
Yeah, I was just to go back. I'm sitting up looking at UCLA's schedule, and it's just kind of blowing my mind seeing just their gauntlet. It looks like a mix of Pac-10, Big Ten.
Yeah,
play like they're playing in like a mini Rose Bowl every week. I just think the stumbling through the interview for Deshaun Foster. I hope they get out the gates versus Hawaii, LSU, and Indiana. Because those
that LSU one's going to be tough.
It's going to be. Well, I even think just
LSU plays UCLA and USC.
Yeah,
and Ohio State plays neither, even though they're in the same conference.
It's crazy. And the scheduling is going to take a lot to get used to it, but I think I'm excited to see them versus Indiana early, just to see how they interact in the Big Ten. Because if Indiana smashes them.
Mm-hmm. That's a really good measuring stick because
it is.
We know where Indiana sits in the Big Ten hierarchy.
But it's just interesting to look at their whole layout, man. It's going to be a long season for them.
I've been seeing that a lot too because we've been doing this 20 most interesting programs this is the third week of it. We'll finish it up next week. Buckeyes on Friday. We'll be out at Buckeye practice Thursday and Friday, so that's going to be exciting as well. But when we go, we put in marquee games for this year, just so we have those in our notes. And looking through every conference has been Texas and Oklahoma has been easy to remember. Mm-hmm. Most of the Big Ten ones because we're locked in on Big Ten, but especially Big 12 and ACC, there are games where I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, who are Miami's top opponents? And I don't remember if they had this one, but a different ACC opponent had it, and I was like, Cal. I'm like, that wouldn't really be a marquee opponent, but I'm like, I feel like I have to note that this is a conference game now for these ACC schools. Yeah. It's just really weird to look at, and I'm not going to get used to it. Like if I see, for example, if I see Colorado and they're playing really well at the beginning of the season like they did last year, it's going to take me a moment to be like, oh, they might have a chance to win the Big 12. I'll have to really remember some of this stuff because you're just so used to it, and there was so much movement this season.
Especially on air, right? I'm going to mess up on air saying stuff, be like, oh, yeah, they're not in that conference. So it'll take some new alignment, just time for all of us, even just in the media, just covering this thing and just seeing how these playoffs play out. But it's something that you can't not be excited for, even if you like the BCS system, even if you like the top four, even if it bothers you that a 2 to 3 team possibly has a chance to win a national championship. You still have to be just, no pun intended, licking your chops and ready to watch it, man. It's going to be so much fun.
Yeah, and we're licking our chops to get to football season, even though Reeser says don't wish the summer away. Well, sorry, buddy. Summer's gone. It's Big Ten football season. NFL camps are opening up. Buckeye camp next week and Big Ten Media Days, they get finished up today. But coming up, some more interesting coach comments from day 2, including James Franklin. He was discussing how many wins Penn State needs to satisfy their fans. Bishop and Friends on The Fan.
We have so many local shows, I can't fit them in a 10-second promo. So let's just say we're live and local all damn day. The Fan.
Men, this is Jeff, and I'm one of the owners of Tri-State Men's Health, where we treat men's sexual health issues here in our area. I say our area because I'm from here, and I'm proud that the practices in the Tri-State region are leading the charge against erectile dysfunction, low testosterone, and other conditions that affect a man's sexual well-being. At Tri-State Men's Health, we're experts in dealing with these problems. For ED, we have a variety of treatment options and treatment combinations that if you're like most men, you'll get your sex life back. And I can say this with all confidence as we have the protocols that work in well over 90% of cases. If you're suffering with the fatigue, low sex drive, bad sleep, brain fog, and other symptoms of low testosterone, our treatment plans are highly effective with most men seeing significant changes in just a few weeks. So call Tri-State Men's Health today. Your initial visit is just $99 and includes blood work and a medical consult. Call 800-900-9654 or go to tristatemenshealth.com. We have 2 convenient locations, just off 270 in Hilliard and near the Medical Mile in Westerville. Tri-State Men's Health, a Promenic restorative health practice.
It's shaping up to be one of the hottest summers on record, Columbus, which means your AC unit is being put to the test. With thousands of perfect Google reviews, your cooling experts at Sears Heating and Cooling will ensure your comfort just as we have the last 74 summers. Whether your AC unit is in need of maintenance, repair, or replacement, your Sears cooling team will get the job done right the first time at the best possible price. That's right, from Dublin to Obetz, enjoy the local pricing advantage of doing business with your neighbors at Sears. SearsHeatingCooling.com.
More and more people are falling into problem gambling. Mary Haven's experts offer comprehensive care. You and your loved ones can count on mental, emotional, and financial guidance.
Confidential and judgment-free. Go to maryhaven.com today.
Your roof took a beating from winter storms, spring rain, and sun damage. Call Legacy Roofing Services before that crack or seam becomes a major leak, costing thousands of dollars. Call Legacy today, 800-880-ROOF, 800-880-ROOF. Legacy Roofing Services.
Wouldn't it be fun if we went back and aired old Buckeye games where they kicked the crap out of people? It's happening, baby. Join Timmy Hall for Buckeye Replay, Saturday at 1.
This week, Ohio State and Washington from 2007.
The Fan.
Hi, it's me, Little Bob from Bob's Discount Furniture. I know, you don't know me yet, but I'm here to let you know that I'm opening up 2 brand new showrooms in the Columbus area, located in Reynoldsburg and Polaris, bringing even more of my everyday low prices to the people of Ohio. And if you can't wait, MyBobs.com is the quickest and easiest way to get unbeatable furniture prices delivered straight to your home today. That's my 2 brand new Bob's Discount Furniture stores coming to Reynoldsburg and Polaris this summer.
Get Bob's Discount!
Common Man here for Jermaine Lexus of Dublin and Easton. I was in my Lexus the other day. It was hot as hell, but I was so thankful for my ventilated seats. I'm not saying that's why you should buy one. It's just very nice. Right now at Jermaine Lexus, it's the Golden Opportunity Sales Event with lease payments as low as $499 a month and 3.99% financing on select models. Get this, the RZ is 0%. I have been a Jermaine customer for years, even before I started doing the commercials. If you're in the market, please stop in. Jermaine Lexus, Dublin and Easton, JermaineLexus.com.
Have you experienced foot or ankle pain during or after sports, running, or exercising at the gym? Nagging aches in your foot or ankle that won't go away? Podiatric physicians can provide you with important foot care solutions, shoe inserts, or show you how to support your feet and ankles so you're able to compete or exercise comfortably. Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association podiatric physicians are located throughout the state and have been serving the profession and the public for over 100 years. For more information or to find a member of the Ohio Foot and Ankle Medical Association near you, visit ohiofoot.org.
Along with the Ohio chapter of the International Society of Arboriculture, while you're outside, this is a great time to be on the lookout for invasive plant species like honeysuckle, poison hemlock, and even wild parsnip, which can cause severe skin blistering, so be careful. Invasive species can wreak all sorts of havoc, like altering the native food web, making it harder on native wildlife, altering soil chemistry, even creating a better environment for things like ticks and mosquitoes. To learn more or to find a certified arborist near you, go to treesforohio.org. That's trees4ohio.org.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
Turning sunny this afternoon with a 20% chance of a pop-up shower. High 84. Tonight look for clear skies with a low of 62. Going 84 on your Friday under sunny skies. Sunny and toasty on your Saturday with a high of 88. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with a look at your 10 TV weather impact forecast on 97.1 The Fan.
With friends like these, who needs former college football players? This is Bishop and Friends.
And Bishop and Friends, we are sponsored by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Fast, sustainable weight loss without medications. The solution for weight loss, Awaken 180 Weight Loss. And I can tell you, yeah, it does work. Big Ten coaches at Big Ten Media Days. Yesterday, we heard from a collection of coaches, and there's 4 here that I wanted to spotlight a few things they said. We'll start with Penn State and James Franklin. So he was asked about, well, what is going to be satisfactory for Penn State fans, especially as we move out of divisions in the Big Ten. So he's not going to have Ohio State and Michigan on his schedule every single year. It's not a guarantee anymore. The barrier to entry to the Big Ten title game might be lower, might be higher, depending on what your schedule looks like on any given year. But the barrier to entry for the college football playoff now much lower, something that Penn State has never made. And even the year they did win the Big Ten, Ohio State jumped over them and made the playoff anyways. So I think that still bugs them. But hey, don't lose to Pitt early in the season, I guess is the lesson there. But James Franklin, he was asked about, well, what does it take? Quote, you're talking about a program that can win 10 or 11 games and people are not happy or satisfied. We totally get that and embrace that. Our players understand that when we recruit them. Our staff understands that when we hire them. And as the head coach, I embrace all those things as well. Thanks, James. That was really enlightening. He's always frustrating to me.
To you, man.
To everyone.
I'm with you on that because it's just like he just comes off as like a bad salesman. Like you just don't want to buy the product. He'll present to you all the reasons why you should buy his product, but it's something about him as the salesman that makes you not want to buy.
Yes, and he has always got like an axe to grind, and like he's clearly has like something he's trying to say without fully saying it sometimes. And every once in a while he'll bring props. Do you remember when him and Kirk Ferentz 2 or 3 years ago were like kept going back and forth after the Iowa Penn State game because Iowa thought that Penn State was faking injuries to stop the clock. Yeah. Then an Iowa coach like was like videotaped that he was like pretending to like hurt his hamstring and like laughing at the sideline. And so then they were going back and forth. And I remember one of the ones he did during the week. This was like Wednesday or Thursday. So we're talking 4 or 5 days after the game. Yeah. Anyways, he like pulled out a sheet and had this whole thing listed of like, here are my grievances with what's going on. And like, that's how he started. He didn't start it. No, I remember he waited for the question. He knew the question was coming. And he's like, yes, I have props for this. And
or the coffee one, the one year when he was talking about how like, I'm just drinking black coffee. Like, congrats, Mr. Franklin.
Well, because here he's talking about, you win 10 or 11 games and people are not happy or satisfied. Well, yeah, because when you win 10 or 11 games, every single time it's because you only lost to Ohio State and Michigan or one or the other. Like, that's why it's frustrating with you because you've been here for a while, like almost a decade now. Maybe this is his 10th season. It's got to be right around that point. And you basically he's never beaten both in one season. And that's the hump to get over. So it's not so much that you only had 2 losses. It's just that consistently the 2 losses are to the same schools. And it's like, figure that out or else what are we doing here?
Absolutely. No, I mean, the thing with Penn State, they've just been always there. And you can kind of see it when they came in Ohio stadiums last year. They were excited pregame. And then like mid-game when they like hit the wall that Ohio State defense was last year, they had no response. And I think that is a representation of just James Franklin's tenure. Like they have no pulse a little bit. Like, and even just think about the year before that when they went to Penn State and Tuamaloa had that crazy game. Yeah. Like, they just didn't respond because they had that game by all means in the first half. And I just think that sometimes your teams, not sometimes, all the times, like your teams reflect your head coach. And you get that feeling that James Franklin doesn't really have an identity like, I'm going to do this when times are like this, or I have this answer. And he to me, Chops, he's like a program director. He's not necessarily a football guru like Ryan Day that's kind of transitioned into that, but knows who to find. James kind of came in this way of like delegating, responsibilities, and you feel like he doesn't really know what's going on offensively and defensively.
And that's why it's so confusing because his entire tenure at Penn State, he's had good quarterbacks, but they're like talented right away, and they don't seem to get better as time goes on. So with a new offensive coordinator this year, is that something we're actually going to see from Drew Aller? Because if you look at his stats, they were not pushing the ball down the field, and I think that's what people notice. But if you really break it down, it's like, he was a pretty good quarterback. He only had 3 interceptions last season. And it's like, okay, if he can keep up with that kind of efficiency, then maybe. But my guess is that, no, once again, a Penn State quarterback did not develop, and Drew Aller is going to be about the same player he was 2 years ago. Matt Rule, he is in his 2nd season going in with Nebraska, and he thinks the Big Ten should get 4 teams in the 12-team college football playoff. Quote, in the Big Ten, we have to go to someone else's stadium in our league 5 times and duke it out. But I think we'll have a lot of access to the college football playoff. I think 4 teams from this league should get in every year because this is the best league. This is the NFL of college football in my mind. That's not to diminish any other league. The SEC is amazing. These other leagues are great. But the challenge in the Big Ten is going to be really difficult, end quote. The defending national champion is from Big Ten. The runner-up is now a Big Ten team. So it's not a crazy thing to say. I would imagine most people would still have the SEC kind of 1A above the Big Ten. But we know that both of those conferences are the class there. And when you do the numbers of, 12-team playoff, 5 spots are guaranteed.
Well, when you say that, you just brought up the defending, the runner-up, or the defending national champion and runner-up. And then, like, if you talk about, like, NFL of college football, yes, SEC is talented.
Yes.
But if I look at the draft, You look at Bo Nix, you look at JJ, you look at Penix. Like the Big Ten last year, well, what is the Big Ten now? And if you look at the draft before, it was a lot more talented than the SEC.
It'll be interesting to see what happens in the 12-team playoff if Big Ten and SEC teams meet each other, and not the main ones. Ohio State and Georgia and Alabama. Like Michigan has been there. They've played each other. But
Texas,
what happens what happens when Ole Miss gets matched up against Penn State? That's what I want to see. Like
Capital One Bowl right there.
But now it could be a playoff matchup. But I think Matt Rule is right because there's 7 at-large spots. Yeah. You already have your conference champion, and presumably, technically, you can. We won't get into the numbers.
Yeah,
that would be. I could totally see 3 additional ones plus their conference champion from the SEC and the Big Ten, and then probably one more from either the Big 12 or the ACC. That's probably how it's going to shake out most years in a 12-team playoff.
Yeah, what a resume that's good enough, or you have one loss to a conference champion, but you might have lost, like Penn State situation. They lost that one year they lost to Pitt, but they still won the Big Ten. It can get mind-boggling. Honestly, going down that lane of figuring out these 12 teams.
Have you seen some of the ones that have shown up for people in the video game? And I'm like, I think it's confusing enough, and we haven't gone through it, that I don't even think the video game knows exactly how to program the decision-making into it, because
they're struggling.
One guy sent me one where, like, Middle Tennessee State was the 4th seed, which means they not only won their conference, but they were higher ranked than one of the Power 4 conferences champions. Yeah. And it's just like, all right, I guess that's
somebody simulated the season, and that's what they got.
Yeah, they went through it with their team, and so they were Ohio State, and they were actually the 5th seed because they lost they lost to Oregon and weren't even in the Big Ten title. But then Nebraska upset them, so Nebraska was like the 2 seed in it at 9-3. Like, these are the things that when they build these rules for something like the 12-team playoff, they go, "Oh, this is great, this is going to work." But as with everything in college football, the unintended consequences result in so much chaos that is usually fun, but also like impossible to wrap your head around, because that's what's going on with NIL and everything right now too.
Yeah, and then the plays like that Auburn kickoff return to beat Alabama will happen,
right?
Like stuff like that will just disrupt this whole thing.
Coming up next, T. Higgins explains why he signed his franchise tag deal. We'll also check in on the Bengals camp. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
Matty Ice has a large tattoo on his calf of LeBron eating a lion. I have nothing else to say. Rothman and Ice.
Weekdays from noon to 3.
The Fan.
It's a summer savings extravaganza at Kemba Financial Credit Union. You pick how you want your money to grow. Choose a limited time 13-month certificate at up to 5.25% annual percentage yield to lock in your savings with a $500 minimum deposit, or enjoy access to your funds anytime with a money market at 4.75% APY intro rate until October 31st with a $5,000 minimum balance and a $1 million maximum. Visit Kemba.org for details. Restrictions apply. Advantage status required. Federally insured by NCUA.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for over 30,000 mouth-watering choices with savings beyond low prices. Like digital coupons. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply.
During our 10 for 10 sale, participating items like Lay's Stacks, Rice-A-Roni, and Sparkling Ice Sparkling Water are $1 each with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
You can always say good morning. But when you're about to enjoy golden biscuits and toasty hash browns at McDonald's, you say, good morning.
And what better way to start your day than at McDonald's with the Sausage McMuffin, Sausage Biscuit, Sausage Burrito, or Hash Browns. Mix and match any two for just $3. Price and participation may vary, cannot be combined with any other offer, single item at regular price.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
We're dealing at Reichert Nissan. Hundreds of Nissans in stock, on the ground, and priced to sell fast. Low lease payments on brand new Reichert Nissan Sentras, only $229 a month. Now we're really dealing. With our best value guarantee and 72-hour exchange policy, you can't buy the wrong car. Visit the Reichert Mega Mall off 270 and 33, or shop thousands of new and certified used at ReichertNissan.com. We're dealing.
With approved credit. 2024 Sentra SR FWD 24-month lease with $3,000 due at signing and $731.24.
We don't talk about politics on The Fan. Instead, we welcome Buckeyes fans, NFL fans, and anyone looking to escape the never-ending cycle of misery. You're safe here, friends. The Fan, home of the Buckeyes and Ohio's politics-free destination.
You expect your home to protect everything you love.
But you don't expect the ways water is breaking down your foundation and damaging your home. Cracks in walls and uneven floors are just a few signs your foundation is compromised. But there's one way to get answers to all your concerns. A free home inspection from Ohio Basement Authority. We put water back in its place. Get your free inspection at ohiobasementauthority.com.
Hi, it's Bob Capace from Worthington Jewelers. Need a perfect gift? Check out the new line of Glock watches and other stunning jewelry at Worthington Jewelers. Make every occasion sparkle with Worthington Jewelers, where exceptional gifts await.
Come play Skyline's 75th Coney Hunt game. Use your phone to search for virtual conies, tap to collect coins, and redeem them for exclusive Skyline merchandise at participating Skyline restaurants for a limited time. Details at skylinechili.com/Coney Hunt.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Bishop and Friends is sponsored by Awaken 180 Weight Loss. Fast, sustainable weight loss without medications. The solution for weight loss. Awaken 180 Weight Loss.
What's up?
What's up, man? What's up with you?
Sponsored by High Bank Distillery, home of the best blended whiskey in America. Grab a bottle or dine in at their 2 restaurant locations in Grandview and Gahanna. Drink local, drink High Bank.
What's up? Bengals camp has opened up, and we got a chance to hear from some of the players and Zach Taylor yesterday. But I think the most interesting one was everybody was like, okay, T. Higgins requested a trade, got franchise tag. They didn't get the trade. They didn't get the deal done, and then he just signed it anyways because I think he saw what was going on. But he also had an explanation of why he just decided, okay, I'm just going to sign the franchise tag.
Obviously, after a while after that, I requested a trade. Nothing was happening, so obviously I knew it was over with. I knew it was going to be locked down, so I just said, to sign it. I'm here, man. And the fans the best about it. I'm here and I'm ready to work.
I get it. After a certain point, if you're dealing with it for so many months, and like at the end of the day, at least when you sign the franchise tag, it is a guaranteed $21 million.
I think just T. Higgins, just overall, we in media, he has a good, just image, right? Mm-hmm. We don't think he's a bad guy. We don't think he's a guy.
Real teammate guy.
He's a teammate guy. Just in an interview like that, it was so raw, so real. F it, I gotta do it. I gotta
he didn't sugarcoat it or try to disguise I was thinking this, but he just
kept it real.
It was I was tired of reading all the headlines about me. I just want to play football. So,
and it lets you know that, hey man, I love it here in Cincinnati. I love playing with Joe B. I love being around, Jamar. I think everybody in that, obviously, Milton being gone. I mean, it kind of breaks up that three-headed monster a little bit, but the homies are still in town, and they still have a chance to be a great offense, and he wants to be a part of that. And also on top of that, franchise tag isn't as bad as it sounds. It's guaranteed money at a nice high dollar amount.
And it sort of guarantees you that you're going to, it does guarantee that you're going to be a free agent, but very few people franchise tag a guy the second year because the number has to jump up and everything. So you kind of at least get to go into the season with, yes, there's uncertainty of what team you'll be on next year, but you know that you'll be searching for another team or signing another free agent deal with the Bengals or something like that. And I think that also takes it away from you, that you're not in this weird contract here where you really don't know what's going to happen, and you can't negotiate a long-term deal at all during the season now once you're on the franchise tag. So there are some benefits to it that I see, and I think T. Higgins knows that, hey, the way this team is situated and built right now, we have a good chance to win the Super Bowl. So you know what? I'll take my chances on, bet on myself, prove it this year, and then we'll go see it. Plus, with the way the wide receiver contracts are going, they're only going to get more stabilized at this point of being 25 to 35 million, and so he can find himself in that range. Whereas if he figured out a deal with the Bengals even last year, it probably would have been more like this $22 million range for 3 or 4 years. And now the wide receiver market has jumped up, and he'll be in that world next year as a free agent.
And even on top of that, just the name franchise tag, it means that the team values you. They just don't want to lose you, but they don't know what to do with you yet. They want to see where you kind of land in the market. And that's a positive thing, right? Like, the Bengals want you in town, bro. And I'm happy you see the value in it. We're going to make sure you get a good dollar amount. Let's just table this. Let's go win a Super Bowl. We'll talk about it next year, T.
Yes. Now go out and win the whole blanket thing. A guy who is not going to get franchise tagged anytime soon, and the guy that I think they're going to pay for as long as he is upright, is Joe Burrow.
Absolutely.
Speaking of being upright, he has dealt with some injuries in his time in Cincinnati. He has missed the end of 2 of his 4 seasons, but there was that idea that he put on weight this offseason. Here's Zach Taylor talking about his quarterback bulking up.
I think it's a good thing. I mean, he is now seen. He's going in his 5th year in this league. He knows exactly what to expect to get himself through a season and what he needs to do. And there's not a lot of conversation that needs to happen at him. He knows how his body feels and how he does best. He's got great support around him. And so, for him to come back looking the way he did, obviously that meant something to him. He put a lot of work into it. And so, again, I think he's at the right spot for himself right now.
I don't think anybody would doubt Joe Burrow's talent or mental capacity to play the quarterback position at this point. Like, he is, straight up dude when he is healthy. It's been the idea of, can he stay healthy? Now, you're an athlete, so I want to ask you this, because I've always wondered this. Okay, Joe Burrow decides to go out there and bulk up. Does bulking up, even adding like actual muscle, not just weight, but actual muscle, does that actually make you more durable, or is that kind of a myth that people like to tell themselves?
No, I think for the quarterback position, it's a great thing. Like, just having the weight, having the extra strength to take hits. And I mean, you think about a lot of Joe's injuries, knees, hands, shoulders, elbows, like those type of things, ankles. If you bulk up and you make those those joint points just a lot stronger, and the stabilizing muscles around them, with more weight, it's a good thing. It's a positive thing. It's not like Joe needs to get faster.
Right.
He needs to be more stable. So
if anything, he needs to run less.
Exactly. But I think for a wide receiver, I always feel like you should always just play at the weight that you feel the fastest. Like strongest is okay, but if you lose speed because of weight or strength, that can be an issue. Just be fast, bro.
And for a quarterback situation too. Not that he's had issues with this, but it doesn't feel that bad for a quarterback usually to put on the flak jacket or wear a knee brace if they need it or something like that. But for a wide receiver, I bet that kind of stuff. If you deal with an injury, just really starts to slow you down.
Slow you down. Absolutely.
But so Joe Burrow dealing with injuries, coming back from the it was wrist this time, right? It was one of those ones where he came down on a helmet and he hurt it. And he was talking about that earlier in the offseason, that it's a weird injury for a quarterback because not very many quarterbacks end up with an injury. So a lot of the guys he's talked to have been offensive linemen, but the asks of what your wrist needs to do from an O-lineman to a quarterback are very different. Will we see Joe Burrow in any of that preseason? Zach Taylor was asked about how he wants to manage the veterans going into those exhibition games.
Do intend to get the starters out there in the preseason. To what capacity, haven't determined that yet. But so there'll be more excitement, I think, from the media and the fan base getting to see our guys go against another team, more so in the preseason than we've done in the past. And I think that's exciting for our guys as well.
It sounds like he wants to play the starters. It does seem that has been a mentality shift in the 3 preseason game world that we have now. Is we want our guys to go out there and at least use the simulated game atmosphere, even though it basically is a real game once you're out there. I would imagine you've played in preseason games before, so you would have an idea. But just getting out there, getting a series under your belt, so you're just used to playing football again in something that doesn't really matter.
I think just the whole dress rehearsal, right? Showing up to the stadium, or if it's a preseason game on the road, taking the flight, getting out there, going through your pregame warm-up. You got to practice the pregame warm-up. It's just part of it. Like, you have to check mark all of these things.
What's your routine going into a game?
You want to know my routine?
Let's hear it.
All right, so I wake up, stretch, go eat some breakfast. When I get some breakfast, it depends on the time of the game. It will either be like a smoothie or a big bowl of fruit and just like one grain, like a toast.
Yeah.
Get to the stadium, you're pounding water the whole time. You do your walkthrough with your nice clothes on and your shades on. You go through the tunnel.
Big headphones on,
holding your bag, whatever it is. Drop that bag. I used to like to get in the hot tub or take a shower right there, and then go see a trainer, get your ankles stretched out, get the hips opened up a little bit. Then you put on some cleats and some shorts and a tee, and then you kind of go out there and do just whatever you feel like. You'll see guys out. J.J. McCarthy, he likes to meditate. I play with a guy, Ben Jones. He, no matter the time of the year, he walked on the field with his shoes off during that time, and he would just walk around.
Yeah.
Ryan Fitzpatrick used to like to just sit on the bench and just have his coffee.
It's that moment before team warm-ups that everybody has their own routine that they do something different.
This is like when Odell is in the corner of the end zone, just with a cutoff T-shirt on with his belly button out, and I think he has cheetah hair, and he's doing one-handed catches. It's whatever you want to do before that time. This is Dak's time to do his hip. This is CJ's time to do his basketball stuff.
Yeah. And it's good to get through a couple of games to do that, because then you're not thinking about it and reacclimating yourself to your routine once the regular season starts. Real quick, Joe Burrow was asked about the hair. Here's what he had to say.
I got bored. That's about it. BJ said that if I buzzed it and bleached it, he would do it too. So now everybody's got to hold him accountable because he's got to do it in the next week.
So we'll see if BJ Hill ends up with the straight bleach blonde. I kind of relate to him a little bit. I've grown my hair out. I've had it short. I've never gone buzz cut and dyed it blonde, but usually when I decide to get a haircut, I'll do something very different. I'll be I'll just try something. So I feel him that sometimes you're I'll just try something new, but it is quite the look.
I'm all about Slim Shady Joe. Slim Shady Joe, if you go out here and win a Super Bowl, keep it, man.
Yeah, then just do whatever you want at that point.
Let's go Slim Shady Joe.
Paul Finebaum, he joins us next. Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
All the 10 TV people come over to our side of the building to take a deuce. That should tell you something about how we operate. The Fan.
Okay, so that's the final price. Oh, an extra fee to drive here. Is that it? A knock on the door fee. So is that the final price? A 15% Wednesday surcharge. What for? Oh, because it's Wednesday. Of course. Can I get back to you on this?
Apex Pros, the pros who knows.
This quote you gave me, are there any other charges I don't know about?
Other charges?
Like an it's too sunny fee or my dog wet the carpet tax.
No, Apex always gives you upfront pricing.
No surprise fees?
Never.
No charge if your stomach hurts or you lost your library card?
Upfront pricing every time at Apex Pros, whether it's plumbing, heating, and AC, or our new electrical services.
I'll call you right back. Hello, other company? Hi, me again.
It's Alex, the friendly Apex Bear. You'll never get a surprise charge with the Apex Pros upfront price guarantee. Schedule an appointment now at apexpros.com.
When it comes to protecting your business, whether it's your staff, property, or assets, don't make a crucial mistake by contracting companies that provide subpar and unprofessional service. What you need is a security partner known for their unwavering professionalism and unmatched reliability. You need Event Risk. Event Risk is a U.S.-based, veteran-owned company that not only specializes in on-site guarding, but also offers armed security associates and executive protection agents. Event Risk, elite protection for your peace of mind.
Hello, my name is Eric Rose, CEO and founder of Event Risk Security Services. We are a U.S.-based, veteran-owned company providing protection services and consulting to Fortune 500 corporations, movie studios, celebrities, and high-net-worth individuals. If you're tired of fluff margins with low compensation for poor quality security officers and the endless revolving door of vendor staffing, then give us a try. For virtually the same cost, we can then address what keeps you up at night.
Visit eventriskinc.com.
Tita Green with Skip Mosick.
Saturday, we'll talk technology with Titleist's Rod Cook. Check in at this week's tour stop in Minneapolis and visit with SI's Gary Van Sickle.
Tita Green with Skip Mosick, presented by X-Golf. Saturday mornings at 9 on The Fan.
We go to war for you. Child sex abuse is a crime that must not go unpunished. At Sugar Schnarr Trial Attorneys, we know the law and we'll fight for your rights. I'm Robert Sugar, and we're here to help you fight for justice. Call us at 877-WARFORYOU.com or visit warforyou.com for a free consultation. That's 877-WAR-FOR-YOU. 877-WAR-FOR-YOU or visit warforyou.com. War for you, warforyou.com.
Driving this summer in a new Honda. Act now during Honda's summer event to save thousands with low 1.9% financing. Full inventory is here. Cars, SUVs, trucks, vans, and hybrids. With hybrids, the battery charges as you drive. Don't miss Honda's summer event with big savings on gas or hybrid, like the 2024 Honda Ridgeline, now with low 1.9% financing. Search your local Honda dealer.
See dealer for financing details. For well-qualified buyers. Offer ends 9/3/24.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, did you know there's a generic form of Viagra that works just the same but is 95% cheaper? And you can get it online at hims.com/joy. Through Hims, you'll get a free medical consultation to determine the ED medication that's best for you. Discreet shipping if prescribed, a 100% online process, and a range of treatment options, including trusted generic alternatives to the name brands at up to 95% off. ED is personal, and at Hims, so is treating it. Just go to hims.com/joy and get connected to a licensed medical provider online for free with zero copay, no expensive appointments, and no awkward face-to-face conversations. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, hims.com/joy. That's hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
Want to know anything about the Fans contest, how to win, or what's up for grabs? Check out 971thefan.com. The Fan, Ohio's sports destination.
Keep your friends close and your producers closer. You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Chops and DeVier Posey with you today, and we're going to head out to the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Hotline. Talk to Paul Finebaum. Paul Finebaum Show, you know him, ESPN, SEC Network, Sirius XM. So we're getting through the last of the college conference media days. Big Ten, ACC, AAC was going on this week. I want to start at the Big Ten media days, and I listened to the whole 25-ish minutes opening statement from Big Ten Commissioner Tony Petitti, a guy that we don't hear from very often, but we know the Big Ten and the SEC is seen as the leaders of college football. Paul, did it surprise you that Tony Petitti took a kind of muted approach of just listing accomplishments of the conference and saying kind of along the lines of, we need to figure out some of these problems and we're looking into it, but not really throwing out like a line for what they want to do, something that I think the SEC did a much better job of during their media days?
Yeah, I'm not defending him because I agree with you, but I think conference commissioners take these things too seriously. I mean, they feel like they're the president in front of Congress. So they either put a bunch of stuff in there that is not that important, or they brag about the league, which they seem to think they have to do as if we don't know what the league has already done, considering those of us at these things cover the league. So I just think he's being careful. I like the TD. I think the alliance with the SEC is smart. But I also think commissioners, and especially with him being a former corporate attorney, probably are a little too careful about what they say, knowing how anything, and I mean anything, can be misinterpreted and then aggregated to death.
Paul, man, big fan. DeVier Posey here. But I do got to ask you, I am a bigger fan of Ohio State. And it kind of rubbed me a little bit wrong the way you kind of ripped Ryan Day. But I wanted to get your take on it and just kind of ask you, like, what are your expectations for him? What do you really feel about him as a head coach? And just this season with this talented roster, do you think he did a good job in the portal and rebuilding this roster to make a national championship run?
I don't think anybody has done a better job than Ryan Day in the offseason. And I think sometimes everything gets a little bit misconstrued. in translation. So I'll say this: I like him as a coach. I think he's done a credible job of taking over these last 8 or 9 years. But ultimately, this audience here knows what Ohio State fans expect, and they expect more than 10-2. They expect more than a playoff every year or two, and they certainly expect more than losing 3 straight to Michigan. Quite frankly, don't think that Michigan is going to be an issue this year. I think Ohio State's roster is so good that this team really I would be disappointed if they didn't at least play for the national championship. And I think that's really what I was trying to say. I was a little taken aback when he talked about what a sacrifice all these players made by coming back. I mean, there's not a college player, with maybe 1 or 2 exceptions every 10 years, who doesn't stay back who stays back other than the fact that they stay back because they've been told that that's what they should do. If you think you could be a first-round pick, you're going. So I just really don't like coaches in general who act like these players, and Harbaugh did the same thing last year. All these guys wanted to win a championship. No, they didn't want to win a championship. They weren't going to make $20 million in the NFL draft.
Yeah, plus they're making money now with NIL, so that sweetens the pot even more to come back and be a star player for another year. Yesterday, Matt Rule, the Nebraska head coach, he spoke about the idea of the Big Ten and how many teams he thinks they should be getting in the college football playoff. One, I think, hey, focus on getting to a bowl game if you're Nebraska first, but the content of what he was saying was the Big Ten should probably have 4 teams in. And, when you break it down, it does feel like the Big Ten and the SEC probably are going to have about 4 teams in. How do you think it's going to shake out in year one as far as representatives from each conference in the college football playoff?
Yeah, I'm glad you said it about Matt Rule. Matt, worry about things you can control. Quit making a fool out of yourself every time you walk out on the field. I agree with you. I think that should be right, but unfortunately, and everyone knows, this is a convoluted system. I was with Nick Saban the other day. He said, we need the 12 best teams in. Well, we're not going to have that. And by the way, the only way we'll have that is if Tony Petitti and Greg Sankey of the SEC say, you know what, screw the rest of college football. We don't really need them. Let's have our own tournament. I'm good with that. I'm sure your audience is good with that. But until then, we're going to be playing these guessing games. And right now, I think 3 is a good number. I think either the SEC or the Big Ten will have a 9-3 team in. I don't think anybody else could do it. But to me, the team that looks like maybe with the best shot at that would be Michigan because of the Texas game early. You're going to have to lose to some superpower early in the season to be able to get away with a 3rd loss. But I don't think anybody. I don't think this committee who listen. We all know this committee doesn't care about Michigan, Ohio State, or Alabama and Georgia. They care about trying to be politically correct based on what they've done over the last couple of years. They're not going to worry about that. So I don't think it's a guarantee that the Big Ten or the SEC has more than 3.
Absolutely, Paul. So what are you most excited about in this new college football landscape? I know tradition has held itself up for a long time here, but I think for me, I'm just excited about the participation. It's almost like a country club feel where, only, Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, Michigan, Texas, those types of teams only had memberships. Now the private course has become a public course. What are you looking at?
Yeah, no, I think you're right. There are a lot of beneficiaries. I heard James Franklin talking yesterday about, why is there criticism of his program? Well, because you lose to the same 2 teams every year, James. That's why people are fed up with you going 10-3. But that's the difference there. You can have a really good program and get to the playoffs and then maybe catch a break. It's like basketball. I mean, some of the surprise winners or the surprise Final Four teams have baffled me at times, but that's all you remember. Now we're going to be like college basketball. It's going to be, instead of a March sport, it's going to be a December, January sport. Where you can lose to Oregon if you're Ohio State in October. You can make it back, because you'll probably play the same team in the Big Ten championship game, and then catch a bye and not have to go play in the snow or ice in the middle of December in the first round of the playoffs.
Speaking of what measures Big Ten success for a team like Penn State or, classically anybody in the Big Ten was the Rose Bowl. And I'll get you out of here on this one because the Rose Bowl comes out and is like, we still want to be a part of it. And I guess we'll be a quarterfinal because we need to be on the 1st of January. And it's like, yeah, you're not the powerful entity anymore. Why does the Rose Bowl parade around as the only bowl that thinks what they say matters to where the sport is going?
Well, because too many people in the media go out there like I did on January 1st, and we say, man, there's just nothing like it. That sun setting over the San Gabriel Mountains. Listen, I've been to the Rose Bowl 10 or 12 times. It is enjoyable, but it's mostly enjoyable because I'm standing in 75 degrees as opposed to 25 degrees back on the East Coast. That's it. It's just overrated. And my employers and so many other people are responsible because you turn the broadcast on and there's Fowler and Herbstreit. Just, oh my, isn't this beautiful? Yeah, it's great. But so are a lot of other places. And why can't the Rose Bowl held up college football for 25 years? I'm sick and tired of it myself.
Same, and I revere the Rose Bowl because I'm a Big Ten country boy. But it's just like, yeah, guys, you're not the decision makers anymore. So okay, you can stay on January 1st, I guess. Paul, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Paul.
Always a pleasure, guys. Thank you.
He's Paul Finebaum of the Paul Finebaum Show on the Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems Fan Guest Network, and we'll talk to him next week on Thursday as well. Higher Lower coming up next. Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
Your morning just got beefier. Morning Juice with Beamer, Bobby, and Shark.
Weekdays from 6 to 9.
The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Ignite your Irish spirit at the Dublin Irish Festival, August 2nd through 4th. Prepare to be blown away as you explore one of the top Irish festivals in the US, drawing over 100,000 guests to Dublin, Ohio each year. Enjoy 7 music stages, 60 acts and more than 800 performers, epic Irish entertainment, great food and more. Get your tickets at dublinirishfestival.org.
With surgery and drugs being the main options to treat chronic joint pain, that left orthopedic surgeons like Dr. Ray Tessner thinking,
geez, wouldn't it be nice if we can have another form of treatment that eliminates some of the downside and has a bigger upside as we learn more about it?
And then he found it. Regenerative medicine, an exciting, fast-growing approach to dealing with pain using healing agents from your own body.
Well, it's using the miracle benefits of the human body to help encourage healing.
Today, you'll find Dr. Tessner at QC Kinetics, the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, giving patients lasting relief from joint pain in their knees, hips, shoulders, and back.
It's one of the best management tools that has come around in a long time.
Finally, options other than surgery and steroids. All natural regenerative treatments at QC Kinetics. Learn more. Call today for your free consultation.
Go to qckinetics.com/Columbus or call 380-208-4544. That's 380-208-4544. 380-208-4544.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
eBay Motors is here for the ride. Go ahead, feel your engine. Admire that perfectly installed exhaust. Your vehicle's moving along this freeway like it was made from fresh installs and a whole lot of love. With eBay Motors, you get over 122 million parts to keep it running. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, they'll be the perfect fit every time. Plus, at these prices, well, we're burning rubber, not cash. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply.
Broadcasting from the Lindsay Honda Studios.
Honda makes the cars. Lindsay makes the difference. Visit lindsayhonda.com.
WBNS-FM, HD1 Columbus. The Fan. Sports Center.
Good morning. I'm Eric Reeser. Big Ten Media Days wrap up today in Indianapolis. Oregon's Dan Lanning will kick off the final day of festivities around 11:30. We'll also hear from the head coaches of Minnesota, Maryland, Washington, Indiana, and Michigan's Sharon Moore. Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA will officially join the Big Ten next Friday. In baseball today, the Guardians host the Tigers at 1:10. Gavin Williams will toe the rubber in Cleveland. It's the finale of their 4-game set. Guardians have won the last 2, including a 2-1 victory on Wednesday. Josh Naylor's RBI single in the 8th was the difference there. As for the Reds, Cincinnati beat Atlanta 9-4 yesterday in Game 1 of a scheduled doubleheader. Game 2 was rained out. They'll try to make it up in September. As for Thursday, the Redlegs have the day off. And the MLS All-Stars lost to the Liga MX All-Stars 4-1 in the MLS All-Star game last night at Lower.com Field. The crew are off for MLS play until August. Breaking sports news on The Fan, Ohio sports destination.
Don't be fooled by the name. Chops and Reeser are just acquaintances.
Are you guys just co-workers? It should be Bishop and acquaintances.
And acquaintances.
That's what it should be. I guess Bishop and Friends sounds better.
You're listening to Bishop and Friends.
Bo, any comments on if we're friends or acquaintances? What's that? You're not here? All right. The Chop Show featuring DeVier and Reeser. That's what we'll get to higher or lower in just a moment, but there's one thing Paul Finebaum said. We just had him on in the previous segment. You can find that on our podcast, wherever you get podcasts a little bit later in the day, but it will also be out on our social channel if you just want the interview. It was really interesting stuff with Paul Finebaum as we are finishing up media days and heading into fall camp for college football. But we were talking about the idea of what's going to make up the playoff, and he was talking about, well, the chance of a 9-3 team making it, and the Big Ten and the SEC have chances for that. But I think he said something that's important to note when you're talking about that and thinking, I don't think a 9-3 team should be in the playoff. He said that you have to lose to a superpower early to get in the college football playoff with that third loss. I'm paraphrasing, but it was something like that. And he used specifically the term superpower. He used Michigan as an example that they could probably withstand 2 losses anywhere else in their season and losing to Texas right there at the beginning of the year. And I think that's the other part of it too. Like, you're going to have to be a team like Michigan, starting from that place where you're in the top 10 already. You're already respected going into the season, so you don't get knocked as much for losing a nice, tough game against Texas. What's not going to happen is, I don't know, Wisconsin. They might be like 20th coming into this year in the AP preseason poll. I've seen them in that range a little bit in some people's projections for it. They're going to have a hard time withstanding 3 losses. Because if they work their way up and get into, say, the top 12, one more loss, and they're like a 2-loss team, one more loss, and they'll get knocked right down. You have to be able to withstand the losses in your ranking spot as well. And so it's going to, a 3-loss team is going to come from the teams that are currently ranked in the top 10, I think, is what we'll see.
Absolutely. So now the preseason rankings are going to start to come into play for those back 2 teams that have 3 losses. And it's such a tough thing. It's such, these isolated situations when you're looking at who's making up 8 through 12 is going to be more interesting than 1 through 7, I feel like.
Yeah, especially with the idea the weirdest thing are going to be like remembering to say, oh, these teams are like, say the top 4 is made up of all Big Ten and SEC teams, which a lot of preseason polls have that. But you know that only 2 of those teams can be the top 4 seeds because only 2 of them can win their conference. And the top 4 seeds are going to be conference champions. So there's going to be stuff like that, remembering and seeing like, okay, actually 12 right now is out because somebody from outside of that, a conference champion, is going to jump in. A lot of numbers that are going to be required to be remembered. I cannot wait for them explaining, like in the first college football playoff show, not the one that's the final one, but the ones leading up to it. And they're explaining why, well, there's a reason why this guy is number 4, but they're actually the 5th seed when we put the bracket together right now. And I think people are just going to be confused the entire time. But once we get to the games, then we'll all understand the bracket. But you're right. People say this all the time about preseason rankings, that they don't matter. No, what they are is they aren't accurate. But they do matter because they set the table for what people are going to think about your team going into the year. And then you have to do a lot of negative to kind of be knocked off that pedestal.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Like, and it just lays the foundation for, setting the stage for big games, right? Like if it game 4, 5, you kind of have an idea about who this team is, but you're going off of preseason rankings. And so I've always hated them because it's never true.
Yes.
And then after that standpoint, those big games, it kind of shakes out, it filters out. But it does matter for how you're viewed at the end of the season, which is crazy.
Yeah, they really shouldn't do it till like week 5 or something like that.
It should just be silence, and then we come out with, rankings.
Speaking of rankings, we do this during the season. We play higher or lower with them. Not AP rankings right now, but we got something for you.
Bishop and Friends present Higher or Lower.
Sponsored by The Waterworks. Trust the pros at The Waterworks for all your plumbing, drain, heating, and cooling needs. Visit thewaterworks.com today to get started.
This came across my Twitter feed yesterday from somebody that we have on the show quite often, Brad Crawford, but he was taking it from sportsbetting.ag, the idea of the hot seat odds in college football going into the season. Reeser, what do we have?
So again, just the composite of odds for coaches likely to be canned at season's end. And we'll start with the best odds to lose his job. And if this happens, it probably won't happen at the end. They'll probably do it mid-season. But Florida's Billy Napier leads 4-1 are his odds to get that pink slip. That's, again, the best of any college football coach. I'll call it among the 130-plus Division I teams. Can't go any higher than one, but higher or lower for Napier with the best odds to lose his job.
I think he's in the right spot. Last year was disappointing, especially that game out at Utah to jump it off. But then this year, it's not just that he's already on the hot seat. But if you look at their schedule, we've talked about their schedule. It's crazy. They started with Miami. They've got Texas A&M on there. They are at Tennessee. And then their final month from 11-2 to 11-30, they have 5 games, no byes in the month of November. Georgia at Texas, LSU, Ole Miss at Florida State. I mean, they could go 1-4 in November.
Yeah, it's definitely higher, Eric.
So even though it's the top one, it's higher.
With the second highest odds, Sam Pittman from the University of Arkansas. Pittman's got 5-1 odds to lose his job. Higher or lower for Pittman at 2?
I want it to be lower because Sam Pittman's a fun guy. We got the Go Hogs drop. He got the giant metal hog fountain out at his house. So if he gets fired, then what's going to happen to that thing? I think he could. I'm trying to look at the other names around him. Could I actually drop him under those ones? Maybe those next two, although the next one I think we're going to have to go lower with. So he's probably in the right spot. But looking at it, I could see. Man, does Baylor care still? The Dave Aranda one I'm looking at, because that has not worked out at all at Baylor. They're going to be one of the worst teams in like major conferences right now.
Yeah, I think Cristobal's is lower. I think Pittman's will kind of stay there. Aranda, he's been bad. Clark, Vandy is such a hard place to win.
Right. Like I said, I don't know. Like, yeah, they're not going to be good again, but are they going to fire him? Who knows?
Yeah, that's tough.
2 members of the SEC media picked Vanderbilt to win the conference's championship game. So,
those guys had to go.
Yeah,
they graduated.
So the SEC media days, they had about 230 media members vote on who was going to be the conference champion, and Vanderbilt got 2.
That was, what did we see? We were talking about the quarterback rankings last week in higher or lower, and it was the lowest ranking for Patrick Mahomes was 2. And we're like, who didn't rate Patrick Mahomes number 1? Just ridiculous stuff.
Chargers fan.
Probably. You mentioned Cristobal. He's next on the list at 6-1. And we're going to talk all about Miami coming up in the 11 o'clock hour. But yeah, I think his is lower. It just was a frustrating end of their season last year, but I think he's a pretty good coach. And if you look at some of the other things that we'll discuss next hour, I think Miami's on a good task. So he's one that at 6-1, I would definitely have lower.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I don't even understand why he's on this list to be, hot seat. Yes, they did a lot in the portal. When you look at it like that, it's like, oh, well, if they don't perform, yeah, hot seat coming next year.
He's also he came back home to Miami, was a player there, and a graduate assistant. So I think he's going to get a little bit of a leash with it, because how often does Miami want to sit here and do this and just, a new coach, another one, let's try it again. We'll be Miami again. They've been doing that for 20 years.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. Wow. Justin Wilcox, Cal. Yeah, and they have a pretty brutal schedule too this year. 12-1. Yeah, he'll be all right. That's okay.
I would also, it's probably the right spot. They're in not quite as bad, but they're kind of in a Vandy situation where they're never really good. Every once in a while they have been. They have actually had some really talented players and been good, but it has been a while since a Deshaun Jackson has showed up for Cal. I guess they had Jared Goff, and he was good, but the team really wasn't that great. I think it was
Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Jackson, Marshawn Lynch.
Guyton game in 13 when they
went absolutely nuts.
Yeah, and it was against Goff, and that was the only thing I remember from their standpoint. That was a weird game too because it was late here, but it was still sunlight in California. It was an early season game. Pat Narduzzi at Pitt, that one I think should be higher. If I were Pitt fans, one, he's constantly saying things that give him the wrong headlines around his program. He doesn't seem to want to embrace the new world of college football, and Pitt hasn't won a whole lot while he's there. I think his seat is very hot.
He's a D'Antonio disciple.
Yes.
And so he does come from the old school mentality, but you have to, at this place, what you need is a great portal transfer. You need to get somebody that wants to play, and you need to take that mindset to have success for your program. You should start recruiting older players, period.
Just bring them in. And I think he's really burned by these changes in the transfer portal because they had a Blitnikoff winner in Jordan Addison going into, I don't know, his third or fourth year there. And instead he transfers to USC. And I get why that happened, especially Kenny Pickett was leaving after that year. But I think that's something that was one of his first major experiences with the transfer portal. And so he's just kind of sworn off of it. But I don't know what Pitt's future holds for them. But it just doesn't seem like the Pat Narduzzi experience has worked out for them.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy, great recruiter, but it hasn't really worked out. I mean, even just, Jordan Addison got out of there. He just hasn't been able to retain good talent, man. And the thing about Pittsburgh, they actually have solid NFL players when you look at it. They have a Mount Rushmore in Pittsburgh.
Mm-hmm.
They have good guys that come through that
Larry Fitzgerald went there. Aaron Donald,
Darrell Revis, Dan Marino. There's some ballers that have came through that program. They should be winning. They should be competing and winning their conference. It's been sad lately.
Reeser, where does our guy fall on this list?
Well, yeah, just for some quick context, you have Justin Wilcox at Cal, Pat Narduzzi at Pitt, and Ryan Day from Ohio State all have 12-1 odds to lose their job.
Ryan Day is probably the clearest one on this list that, if he beats Michigan or if he wins the national championship, obviously if he does both, he's fine. If he doesn't do either of those things, then, his seat is going to be really hot, but I don't know how you put odds on that. Ryan Day's odds of being fired are basically what are his odds of beating Michigan?
Right. and those are high.
Yeah.
Those are high with this roster. Those are high with this schedule. The thing about Ryan, I get that people want him to beat Michigan. I understand that they want him to have a national championship. But who are you going to get?
That's a good question.
Where are you going to go? Who are you going to hire? All the fans who have all the answers, name a guy that can run this machine and adjust to the portal, adjust to the NIL world, adjust through COVID. Better than Ryan Day and how he's done this. Through this time, he has come up with these collectives. We have our program has expanded. You know what I mean? All of the arms and tentacles of Ohio State football have expanded under Ryan Day, and it's been successful. And you need somebody like that who understands it. I don't know who else you could go get who can handle all those tentacles.
It does feel like sometimes when you talk to some of the really negative people that it's Ohio State didn't go 8-5 in any of these years. I know it is upsetting. I want to beat Michigan too, but I do think Ryan Day is somebody who can get there. And you bring up that idea of, who else are you going to get? There are only 3 active coaches with a national championship right now. We were talking about this yesterday, and one of them is Mac Brown. So there's kind of only two. If you're, it's like you're not going to go get Mac Brown now. And then you're talking about Clemson and Dabo, which I think the ship has kind of sailed on Dabo being at the top. And then Kirby Smart's not going to. Yeah, if you could hire Kirby Smart, then maybe I would hear you. But that's not going to happen. So who are you going to hire?
Out of all the coaches in the Big Ten now, the only coach that's played in the playoffs is Luke Fickell and Ryan Day.
Yeah, you're right.
It's like, who are you going to hire?
Yeah, we'll see what it looks like as the 12-team playoff goes. But there you go, higher or lower today on hot seat odds going into the college football season. Up next, no one is really sure how revenue will be shared with college athletes, at least not yet. Bishop and Friends right here on The Fan.
A lot of hosts have been on our airways in the past 30 years. Some good, some bad, some really bad. Anyway, sorry for that. The Fan.
Mark your calendars for Diamond Seller's Wedding Weekend, July 26th and 27th. Hi, it's Alex Johnson from the Diamond Seller. Wedding Weekend is back with unbeatable offers you won't want to miss. Join us for buy one, get one half-off wedding bands, 20% off diamond anniversary bands, and special offers on diamond engagement rings. We've had the guaranteed best price and an unmatched selection for over 77 years. Choose a jeweler you can trust and come see us July 26th and 27th at Diamond Seller on Sawmill Road.
Welcome to Nada Yada Island. This season on Nada Yada Island.
When we were new, they spoiled me. They even gave me a phone. But then, it's like I didn't exist.
Don't take yada yada from your wireless carrier. Now with Metro, get that new customer feeling again and again. Introducing Metro Flex. Free 5G phones when you join, same deals as new customers when you stay. Only at Metro by T-Mobile. Just bring your number and ID and sign up for an eligible plan. After 12 months, trade in and get our best deals on select devices.
Okay, so that's the final price. Oh, an extra fee to drive here, is that it? A knock on the door fee, so is that the final price? A 15% Wednesday surcharge, what for? Oh, because it's Wednesday. Of course. Can I get back to you on this?
Apex Pros, the pros who knows.
This quote you gave me, are there any other charges I don't know about?
Other charges?
Like an it's too sunny fee or my dog wet the carpet tax.
No, Apex always gives you upfront pricing.
No surprise fees?
Never.
No charge if your stomach hurts or you lost your library card?
Upfront pricing every time at Apex Pros, whether it's plumbing, heating, and AC, or our new electrical services.
I'll call you right back. Hello, other company? Hi, me again.
It's Alex, the friendly Apex Bear. You'll never get a surprise charge with the Apex Pros upfront price guarantee. Schedule an appointment now at apexpros.com.
We don't talk politics on The Fan. Instead, you'll hear us talk about the Ohio State Buckeyes, the NFL, food, family, and fun. We're your safe space. Except when Common Man violates it by playing fart noises. The Fan, Ohio's politics-free destination.
Hey, it's Bobby Carpenter. For years, like me, you've heard their name on the radio. You've seen their ads on TV. You've seen their trucks driving around in your neighborhood. Or you've been greeted with a smiling face at a local community event. Newman Roofing. That's right. They've built their reputation on honesty and professionalism within the Central Ohio community. As a company, Newman Roofing believes in giving back to the community who has supported them over the last 32 years. It's essential to developing those long-lasting relationships with their families. Tim is a small-town guy with small-town values, and when I met and talked with him and his team, you could tell how much they love the community they serve. And you can hear those stories and hundreds of 5-star reviews to how many people trust Newman Roofing with their project and how they meet their expectations. So when it comes to your roofing needs, call Newman Roofing to receive unparalleled customer experience. So give them a call at 614-NEW-ROOF or newmanroofing.com. That's newmanroofing.com.
The ONN Daily Podcast. Get a recap of all the day's news from across the state.
ONN affiliate WBNS TV reports.
Haley Kirby reporting in downtown Toledo.
From the State House, Kevin Landers.
ONN Canton. ONN affiliate WKYC TV in Cleveland explains.
In Marietta, Brett Wharf, ONN News.
Emma Henderson in Genoa.
The ONN Daily Podcast. Listen at ONNradio.com or wherever you download your favorite podcasts from the Ohio News Network.
Friday, July 26th is Recovery Ohio's Mental Health Day at the Ohio State Fair. Visit the Department of Mental Health and Addiction Services, the Department of Insurance, and other state agency booths. Come learn about mental health resources available to you and to your family. Join us on Friday, July 26th for Recovery Ohio's Mental Health Day at the Ohio State Fair. We'll see you there.
Don't let a cold, sinus infection, or allergies ruin your day. Breathe easier, sleep better, and feel healthier with Navage. Visit Navage.com, Walmart, Walgreens, CVS, or a store near you.
Fan weather.
From the Logan AC and Heat Services Weather Center.
A cold front moved through the area last night, delivering refreshing air today. It'll be cooler and less humid. 84 for the high today, along with a 20% chance of a pop-up shower. Tonight, clear skies, low 62. Tomorrow, looking at sunny skies, high 85. I'm meteorologist Dylan Robichaud with a look at your 10 TV weather impact forecasts on 97.1 The Fan.
Not interested in Iowa football? Too bad. Chops will tell you about it anyway. This is Bishop and Friends.
New Ohio State Athletic Director Ross Bjork. He talked to Ross Dellinger this week at Big Ten Media Days. And Ross Dellinger, he's always on the top of the list of people who is talking to the right people or getting to the bottom of the information of what's going on, especially in the world of lawsuits, NIL, athlete compensation, revenue sharing, all that kind of stuff. So he's talking to Ross Bjork about it, and Bjork tells him that it cost around $20 million for the Buckeye football players this year, coming from their affiliates and collectives and all that stuff. So that's how much is being dispersed. Ross Bjork on what paying players will look like, though, moving forward. He says, quote, "It's too early to predict how it's going to be broken down from a Title IX standpoint. The challenge is we're up against the clock. We're signing athletes in football in December. We need some clarity sometime this fall." That's been one of the biggest problems with college football recently is every year there are rule changes, and every year once we get to the point where, well, we need to make sure that we have this right because we're moving on to the next thing, like he says with the early signing period in December, are these players being promised an actual compensation going into next season, or are they just showing up and it's still under the NIL guys? So we do need to get to the bottom of that kind of stuff, and I just don't know how they're going to do it. It reminds me of, we had last week talking to Paul Finebaum from SEC Media Days. I think it was him. Either way, somebody from SEC Media Days was saying that they don't have their tiebreaker figured out yet going into the season, so that if they end up with a conference championship issue where they have to go between three teams, they haven't actually written down what those are. And because they just say, we'll figure that out when we get there. And that's what it feels like this is going to happen, that I think college football leaders are going to ask once again Congress to make rules and do everything for them and say, what can we do? What can't we do? That's not going to happen. And it's just going to be more chaos with how this money is divvied out once there is revenue sharing, which I think is I want there to be revenue sharing, but there does need to be like the guidelines to how it's done, just like there is a CBA in every professional sports league.
Yeah, but the thing that protects the CBA is the players union. And for it to, I guess you say, have guidelines, the players have to be unionized, and the college athletes have to have some type of guidelines of how they're going to interact with these organizations, where the revenue sharing goes. Like,
those guidelines become once you have a CBA is a contract, really.
Absolutely. You're going to have rules of engagement, and on top of this revenue sharing, each school, each team, each sport gets this amount, and then at the same time the access money should go into retirement accounts. Like there's so many levels to this that needs to be distilled and just spoken about, right? And the players right now have a lot of power, and I would trust the institutions, but I don't know if you remember, was that 7 years ago, Northwestern wanted to have like a college football union. Now is the time for that. Like, now is the time for the guys to connect their agent, all these NIL agents, to kind of have some type of conference to where, all right, this is how we need to interact, because
just so they can all agree on, like, this is how we're going to interpret these rules, and these are the rules we're going to go forward with.
And this is what we're going to ask from you as a universities. Like, this is what we're going to ask from NIL. Like NIL doesn't get touched. Like, we need to talk about this stuff. And, you know, like how we're looking at this is 3 categories, right? It's revenue sharing, traditional financial aid, and then name, image, and, you know, and likeness. I think name, NIL, and traditional financial aid have been maximized, right, over these last couple of years, and what the school can actually do. But this third one of revenue sharing, this is brand new, and it's very in-depth.
And Ross Bjork brought up an interesting point with that I don't think we've really approached because, again, just so many numbers now going into college football. But that $21-ish, $22 million number that we've all been talking about of like, this is how much money they're going to be presumably able to share the first year that this goes into action. And it's actually done by a percentage of their revenue. So he pointed out that what you have to remember is that it is going to go up, presumably going to go up every year. Most times the revenue for a major college football program and major college athletic department is going to go up every year. So he's talking about, hey, in just a few years, it'll be $25 million is what the percentage will be. So it's not just finding that one. It's not a static number that they have to find in the budget every year. It's a percentage they have to pull out of it, which is probably the right way to do it, but it just adds another headache to accounting for all of it. And the other thing that Ross Bjork had to say, and I found this interesting because I knew this existed, but the idea of equivalency sports versus head count sports. So football has always been a head count sport, that you have this many scholarships and each one fully has to go to one person. But a lot of other sports, you can split them up when you don't have your whole team, and that's called equivalency sports. And under the new rules, all sports are going to do that. So it'll be really interesting to see how people manage how much of a scholarship they give out, and are they going to supplement that with some sort of NIL deal, or say that, hey, the revenue share figures that out. Again, just a lot of working pieces to figure out.
Well, let's unpack this.
Okay.
So we're moving towards an equivalency sports model.
Right.
And so I guess what you're saying is that now financial aid isn't like, okay, I'm guaranteeing you a scholarship. That's what's guaranteed.
Yeah, it's like more like a scholarship for a traditional student that is not a full ride. It's just a part of money that can go to your tuition, essentially. Well, baseball players do this a lot because their scholarship limit is actually 11.7 per team. So they don't even have a whole number that they give out.
So we can have football players and basketball players come here and say, hey, I'm going to pay you this much money, but I'm only going to give you, like Darren Peterson, he's a basketball player from the Canton, Ohio area.
The one who went out to Virginia, right?
He went out to West Virginia and Huntington. This is hypothetical, listeners. Say he commits to Jake Diebler in Ohio State's basketball program. He's a top 5 player. His NIL deal could be anywhere between $2 to $4 or $5 million.
Right.
We're going to give you $2 to $4 or $5 million, but we're only going to give you 8% scholarship. Like, dude, you got enough money to pay for yourself to go here. Is that where we are?
And it'll be really weird to see, like, are there going to be coaches who are talented at selling that to guys? It's sort of the...
You only be here for 2 quarters anyway. You don't need a full scholarship.
Yeah, that's a good point, too, right? Like, you're going to be one and done anyway, so here's enough to pay for the semester, and it's technically only a 0.6 scholarship, but that way we can give 0.4 to this guy, bring in another guy that helps us out. Yeah, so the management of all of this stuff, and then around Title IX. People have always gone, how is it going to work with Title IX? It's like, I don't know. But they'll figure it out. It'll have to work however it works.
Well, when you think about it, it's a good thing for Title IX if we go to equivalency, just for the simple fact of like just the hypothetical Darren Peterson situation. He gets a 0.4. He gets his scholarship covered for a semester. Now you can give the rest of his money to someone in field hockey or tennis. And it can balance out where money can supplement different scholarships, and then it can spread down to people who need more in the equivalency sports area.
If managed correctly, there is a chance that revenue sharing actually helps the amount of scholarships that can be in other sports. I hadn't thought about it that way, but you're right. There's a chance. Now, do I trust every university to do that in a way that
I
is
trust
helpful?
Ohio State to do it.
Yes, because they're very adamant about the 36 varsity sports. But we'll see what other universities do with it. So... And again, whatever they figure out, revenue sharing, though, is coming. They are supposed to file that suit, the what's it called, settlement for it this week, tomorrow. Coming up, what's going to happen with all of these holdouts and hold-ins across the NFL? Bishop and Friends on the Fan.
Question from a listener: do you dopes ever get tired of talking about Ohio State? No. The Buckeye Show.
Weeknights at 6.
The Fan.
Everyone has that one goal, that thing they want to prove, not to other people, but to themselves. Then, right when you think you could actually do it, cancer. And that goal is still within reach. Oh no, I'm about to run my first ever marathon with my 2 best friends. 3 years after having cancer.
At least we look good in these shorts.
Woo! Let's get it, guys. You, keep making plans.
Visit ohiohealth.com/keepmakingplans to learn more.
Ignite your Irish spirit at the Dublin Irish Festival, August 2nd through 4th. Prepare to be blown away as you explore one of the top Irish festivals in the US, drawing over 100,000 guests to Dublin, Ohio each year. Enjoy 7 music stages, 60 acts and more than 800 performers, epic Irish entertainment, great food and more. Get your tickets at dublinirishfestival.org.
Hey, what's up? It's T-Bone. If you need a new roof but you're not sure you can afford it, no problem. Right now, Able Roof is offering no payments, no interest until 2026 for qualified buyers. Yep, that's the same Able Roof that's been voted the #1 roofing company in Columbus by Consumer Choice Awards 22 years in a row. Want more? Able Roof will give you up to $1,000 off a new roof, siding, or windows. This is a limited time offer, so call Able Roof today.
Call Able for the proof. 444 roof.
Today is National Chili Dog Day. Head to your favorite neighborhood Skyline Chili and celebrate with some of those incredibly delicious Skyline cheese conies. There's no better chili dogs on the planet. Feeling good. It's Skyline time.
We know your golf game is ugly, but your course doesn't have to be. Experience the natural beauty of Delaware Golf Club today. Delaware Golf Club is now open to the public and only 10 miles up the road from 270. For the best rates, book your tee time online at DelawareGolfClub.com.
The Fan is your home for the Dallas Cowboys.
No, we're not. You can't say that. Take 2.
The Fan is your home of the Buckeyes. Yes, that's right. Same thing, but more playoff success. Now give Big Voice Guy another brandy. Thank you. The Fan.
Need inspiration? Shop Kroger for over 30,000. More savings and more inspiring flavors make Kroger worth it every time. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Fuel restrictions apply. During our 10 for 10 sale, participating items like Lay's Stacks, Rice-A-Roni, and Sparkling Ice Sparkling Water are $1 each with your card. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
Attention! If you owe money to the IRS, this is an urgent message. The IRS is cracking down by sending out heart-stopping letters, aggressively garnishing paychecks, seizing bank accounts, and putting liens on homes and businesses. They call it enforced compliance, and you better watch out because penalties and interest on unpaid taxes compound daily, making it seem impossible to ever get out of debt. Don't let the tax debt destroy your life. You need to call Optima Tax Relief, the #1 tax resolution firm. They're experts in the Fresh Start Initiative, one of the biggest breaks that the IRS has ever offered. If you qualify, you could save thousands. Optima's resolved over $1 billion of tax debt for their clients. A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau, they'll fight to get you the best deal possible. Call Optima now for a free consultation.
Call 800-348-0269. 800-348-0269.